We're going to hear today how to connect Matomo to Grafana and other external tools. Hello.
Hello. Okay, so let's go. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Leticia and I'm very glad of being here with you today in Matomo Camp. For the next minutes, I will talk about how to generate advanced reports with Matomo using external tools. We will discuss the possible ways to configure Matomo as a data source and the most common tools to visualize analytics data. After the presentation, we will make a live demonstration of connecting Grafana with Matomo, and we will show how to create a basic dashboard. We will also talk a bit about the Matomo reporting API. So this talk is going to be for beginners, but also a little bit technical. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Leticia Rodríguez. I'm from Spain. I have a degree in computer science, and I have been working as a web analyst for over 10 years, leading international measurement projects and analytics teams. Currently, I am in charge of analytics projects at optimizar.info, where we mainly use Matomo to develop analytics solutions across multiple sectors and markets. We noticed that there was little documentation about Matomo in Spanish, so we decided it would be useful to spread the word and help people get started in web analytics with Matomo. Before going on, I'd like to thank again the whole Matomo Camp team for the organization of this conference. I was here on the previous years attending to the talks, and it's fantastic to see the growth and see how is the evolution. I'm very happy to stay today here and share this content. And okay, enough introduction, and so let's get started. And here comes the first question. Why use external visualization tools with Matomo? The reports that we can use in the Matomo interface are very complete and cover all areas of analysis, from behavior, acquisition, or conversions to advanced report like funnels and heat maps. But in our day-to-day working, we observe that once the client starts to make use of the data available in Matomo, they feel they need to create custom ratios, to cross several dimensions or aggregate the data in custom parameters, use different charts to visualize the data, organize the metrics in other way, or for example, integrate information from the database. So why use visualization tools with Matomo? Because it allows us to organize the information and transform complex data in graphical representations, which are easier to understand. And this helps us to identify trends, to identify patterns and anomalies that may not be evident in data tables. So with this kind of visualization, with this kind of tools, we can create dashboards tailored to specific needs, combining Matomo data with other sources, with a variety of charts and interactive elements that make data interpretation easier. In order to visualize the Matomo data, we need to know which data we can extract from Matomo and how we can integrate this data. So let's continue and review how to get data from Matomo. There are Matomo offers multiple ways to export data and visualize it in external tools. Here we have some of the available options. Also, there are more, as for example, the BigQuery export that Ronan explained it some minutes ago in the Matomo camp. But today here we have the ways that we used to use. The reporting API that allows us get automatic access to the data through requests to different endpoints with responses in formats like JSON and XML. Is very flexible, and we will take a more detailed in a moment. The report exporting, where we can export reports in formats like CSV, Excel, or PDF, or also JSON directly from the Matomo interface. But also these reports can be configured to be sent by mail. But this way is limited because we depend of the settings of the Matomo dashboards. The third-party integrations, very popular now with the Looker connector, where we can connect directly with tools like, I say, Looker Studio or Power BI. And in these cases, we are forced to rely on the development and support of the connector. And of course, the database access. If we have access to the Matomo server, we can perform SQL queries directly on the database to extract exactly the data needed. There are no external dependencies, and direct SQL queries to the database can be faster than other methods, especially for large volumes of data. It's always important creates in these cases when we work with a database user dedicated with read-only permissions, because database administration is complex compared with the other methods. You need a specific knowledge because the maintenance of the tool and the security are very important and necessary. I like to mention that there are, or that can be other methods. For example, as I said, the BigQuery export, or you can develop your custom plugin or application to export the data, or you can use webhooks. At the end of the day, every project and requirement is different, so you have to be carefully decided what's the best option for it. Each of these options has its own pros and cons, so the choice will depend on the specific needs of the environment we are working in. In our case, we usually work with the reporting API and with the database. Both methods are very complete and allow us to obtain quality data with custom queries. So, as I say, today we are going to make an example in Grafana, and to do that, we are going to use the reporting API. So let's go to explore a bit in detail how is working this method. The reporting API allows us to access to all the information that Matomo collects about our website. We simply make a request and receive the data we need in formats that can be directly used in other tools like JSON, XML, or CSV. The API provides us real-time data. It offers different methods that allow us to ask specific questions about our data. Each of these methods has its own parameters that we can adjust to get exactly what we need. And we know that Matomo cares about the privacy and security of the data. And in order to use the API, we need an access token. This ensures that only authorized individuals can access the data, which is critical in an organization. Also, the API allows us to control what information we share, and how this is used. To work with the API, it's important to know the structure, the parameters, the methods, and the documentation of the reporting API is very, very useful and comprehensive. It's, I think that is here. It's explained here all the methods that we can use, how to make requests, what parameters we can use, the types of the response to expense, also examples in different formats. So with this, or it make easy to use the API to collect the information. And why use the API instead to the other methods? The reporting API, it's easy. It's easy compared to other methods. We only need to have a good knowledge of the API methods, and we don't need to worry about the database structure. It's focused on security and privacy. That, as I said before, is very, very important when we are working with data. And we may have some limitations in the amount of data that we get by request or with the performance compared with, for example, accessing directly to the database. But the Matomo reporting API is a powerful tool that allows us to access to the data in an automated way. And it's an excellent option if we are looking to maximize the use of our web analytics data. And how this is work? As this is an API, we need a URL, and in this case, the Matomo API URL is what we use to make custom queries to our analytical data. To build this URL, it's not complicated. We combine several key elements. We need to combine these elements. We have the base URL, that is the domain where our Matomo instance is hosted, and also a few required parameters that we need to include in the query to have the response with the right information from Matomo. These key parameters, one of these is the method. We choose the method according to the type of the data or reports that we want to query. For example, if we want to get the number of visits or basic information like the bounce rate, we can use this method, the visit summary.get. As I said before, we need to know how is structured the API, which methods we have, which parameters we need to use in any of the methods that we have available. They decide to say the ID of the website that we want to query, the period to determine the interval for which we want to obtain data, of course the date to specify which date range we want to query, the probably most important thing, the token auth, an authentication token that allows access to the API. This token can be created in our Matomo account. You need to be admin to create the token in the admin settings. And the output format, no? When we specify we want a JSON, XML, or other kind of format. Suppose we want to, for make a basic example, we want to get the visit summary for yesterday for a site with ID 1, and we want the data returned in JSON format. Okay, so for the example, we are going to use the demo site for testing purposes, and here we have the base URL, the module, the API we are going to use, the method that we need to get the visits. The site, as I say, I say the site 1. In this case, I want the data by day. I specify which day exactly, yesterday, as I say, and the format. And this is the demo token for the demo account, anonymous. And if we click here, we can see, okay, perfect. I have the main metrics for yesterday for a specific site. As you can see, it's easy to use the API. It's not complicated, and we can have directly the information that we need in custom queries. And now that we know a method to extract data, let's try to visualize it in an external tool. Before to go to make an example, let's going to talk a bit about visualization tools, because these tools allows us to integrate data from different sources like Matomo. There are many data visualization tools. Here, what we use it to use with our clients, mainly Grafana and Metabase. Each of these tools options has its advantage and disadvantage. So the choice will depend on your specific needs and the environment you are working in. And which criteria we should use to select a tool? Well, based on our experience, here are the most important criteria to consider when selecting a visualization tool. For us, there are two that are really, really relevant. One is the security, because this is relevant to protect our data. We prefer tools that comply with security standards, such as data encryption and user authentication. And also, all other key element is the privacy. We look for tools that allow control over who has access to the information and how the collected data is used. For us, the security and the privacy are the key elements, but also there are other elements that are related with the client that we need to consider as a factor when we need to select a tool. Of course, the customization, that this is based on the kind of interaction and visualization that the client needs, the data source to integrate, that is the compatibility with the client systems and the data sources that wants to manage, the performance, that is the frequency of updates required for the data on the dashboards, and the efficiency in processing large volumes of data, the number of users of the dashboards, and very important, the level of expertise of the users that are going to work with the data and are going to work with the dashboards. Of course, the projects, the limitation that has the clients to the amount that he can spend. Other factor or other relevant factor is the documentation and the community. It's important a tool with presence of an active community and available resources for support, because experience tells us that sooner or later we are always going to face some kind of problem or challenge. And the last factor, the scalability. We need to make sure that the tool can grow with organization. This, as I said, this is based on experience and are only recommendations. In our case, as I said before, we use it to follow or we used to work with these tools. Talking based on my experience, we used to choose Grafana when we need to work with real-time data directly from the API. It is highly customizable, and its alert management features are very, very, very useful. And we used to work with Metabase when we work with clients with large volumes of data that require working with databases. Both tools, Grafana and Metabase, are secure, allow for the creation of dynamic and interactive dashboards, and facilitate the easy integration of multiple data sources. We also use Looker for quick dashboard development, utilizing the official Matomo connector. However, there are some limitations with the data. Also, we use the spreadsheets when we need to make a query, a one-time request to export the data. About Power BI, Apache Superset, or Redis, these are tools. These tools we use in specific cases because the client specifically requests it. But as I say, we prefer, we used to work with Grafana and Metabase. But this is our experience. The choice will depend on the specific needs of the project, and this is only our opinion.
I did not hear much about Power BI. How often do you use Power BI?
We only have one client that with Power BI, because wanted to have all the data there. And what we do in this case, we use a Postgres database to integrate the data, not directly to the database of Matomo.
Thank you.
Yeah, and now that we have an idea about how to use the reporting API and an idea about some visualization tools, let's make a basic dashboards with Grafana. Before basic explication about Grafana. Grafana is an open source data visualization platform that allow us to create interactive dashboards and graphs from various data sources. We like it because we can create customizable dashboards using different types of data visualizations. The dashboards are interactive, allowing users to explore data dynamically by filtering and adjusting visualization as needed. Grafana supports multiple data sources and can be connected to a variety of databases and services with a wide range of plugins that extend its functionality. And for us, as I said before, we really like and we think that is very powerful in Grafana, the alerts. Grafana allows users to set up alerts based on specific conditions, helping us to monitor critical metrics in real time, and it's very, very useful. Using Grafana to visualize Matomo data not only enhance the presentation of information, but also boost the ability to analyze and make informed decisions based on data. And what we are going to do with Grafana? Okay, what we are going to do is a basic example where you are going to connect to the Matomo reporting API, extracting a JSON file, and visualize some basic metrics on the tool. In this case, we are going to visualize the visits, the converted visits, and also the conversion rate. And for the example, we are going to use this API URL. As I said before, for testing proposal, we use the demo for this example, where we are going to use this basic URL, the main key parameters, and the method visit summary get. Okay, because I said that we wanted to get the visits and the visit converted. So let's go to Grafana. In this case, for the example, we are going to use a solution that is in grafana.net. Here you can create your own instance. You have a free account, and also you can increase it, or you can also use Grafana on-premise and install it in your own server. As I say, to this case, we are going to use the cloud solution because it's easy for this example. When you access to the tool, first thing that we need to do is to add the data source. In this case, we are going to configure a Matomo data source from the API. So we go to the main menu, and to the main menu we go to connections, and here in data sources we have all the options. One thing that we have in Grafana, as I said before, is that it's very, very complete. We have a lot of plugins, lot of ways, and lot of solutions to integrate easily a database, a service, a cloud service, other tools. So it's not really complicated to use Grafana. In this case, for integrate a API JSON, we have several ways, several plugins. For Matomo, you can use Infinity. That is very powerful. Also, the JSON, the JSON API, all of these plugins are working with the Matomo reporting API because we can use them to export a URL API. In this case, we are going to use the JSON API, this plugin, and we are going to configure it. So we looking for here for the plugin, and here we have the options to configure it. What we need to do when we add a data source is make the connection here. We are going to add here the main URL of our instance of Matomo, and here in the query strings, we are going to add the main parameters that we are not going to modify later. For example, we are not going to add here the date or the period because there are parameters that we are going to configure dynamically. So here, first thing, let's go to add the name. For example, JSON Matomo demo. The name of the data source, and here our URL that I say that we are going to use the demo site here. Wait, going to copy. Wait. Okay. And now here I added the instance of Matomo. And as I said before, here we can add the query parameters, the parameters that are fixed, that are the format, the token auth, in this case, the ID site, because we are not going to modify this, and the module that, of course, is API. When we have these parameters, we save here the change, and as you can see, it's very, very easy. This is done, and now we are ready to create our first dashboard. Before to start to create the visualizations, we are going to add a variable in the dashboard level. Why? Because the date and the period, we want to have these parameters dynamically. That means that we want to modify this on the reports. For example, here we have a dashboard made for us, and we can modify the date, and we can modify also the period. So the first step in Grafana is go here to settings and create our period variable. If you are or if you used to work with Matomo data, if you used to export Matomo data, you know that the period is really important parameter to make a good exportation of the data. So here we add the name, and here we are going to add the values. I'm going to add some of them for the example. For example, day, week, month, year, and rand. And I'm going to save this and put a name on the dashboard. For example, my first Matomo dashboard. And save it. Okay, now I have a dashboard, but with any visualization. Now, let's go to create the first visualization. When we click on Add Visualization, the first thing that we need to do is select the data source that we created before, and we are going to use to visualize the data. I select the JSON Matomo and Grafana that I created some minutes ago, and this is the page that we have to configure the visualization. Always is the same with all the Grafana visualizations. We have here at the left, we can select the kind of visualization that we want to use. We have a lot of visualizations pre-configured. And here the option of the visualization that we have, in this case, the time series. Here in this side, we are going to see the data, okay? And here we have the most important thing. Here we are going to configure the query and select the parameters that we want to visualize. When we created the data source, we only include these parameters because I say that we wanted to work with this dynamically, so we wanted to have this in level visualization, not in the data source. So let's go to add these parameters, the method, the period, and the date. To add these parameters, we go here to params. And we add a new param, that is the method. As I say, visit summary get. Also, I'm going to add the period and the date. The period, as we create before a variable on the dashboard, I'm going to, instead to put here the specific period, I'm going to add the variable period. And also to the date, because we want to modify the date. So for the date, we are going to use this expression. Ready? Now we have the query. We create the main data source with the token that a user that is visualizing the dashboard cannot see the token. That is important. And here we have the parameters that we can modify. Why I don't see anything here? Why no data? Okay, I need to select, I need to specify which data I want to see. If I click here, I want to see the JSON that we are that we are using to work. And we can observe that is an array where the key is the date, and in each date we have inside the parameters. So to access to this data, in this case, we want to collect, as I say, the visits, that is the parameter MB visits, and the visits converted, that is the parameter MB visits converted. So, as I say that I wanted to see the trend, the first parameter that I'm going to extract is the date. And here in the fields option is where we are going to specify which fields we want to extract. As we can see, we start to see the JSON, and now we need to select the fields. With this, as you can see, I can see here the date that is here. Is the key element of the array that we are working on. I can here modify the time. I'm going to assign this time, and here I'm going to put a name, a beautiful name, date. Let's go to add the next parameter. I say the visits, so it's in this case, because we now know that the name is NB visits. And now we have here the date, and we have another column that is the visits. We add this a name, and the last thing that we wanted to see was the visit converted. Wait. Good. And done. We have our table with the date, the visits, and the visits converted. And we can now click here in table view because we have already time series selected. And here we have of first chart, the trend of the visits and the visits converted. We can add a name, visits and visits converted trend, and save this. And if we back to the dashboard, we can see in the dashboard the first visualization. Let's try with another. Let's go to make a chart with the trend of the conversion rate. So to go a bit faster, what we're going to do is here duplicate this graph. I click here in these 3 points, I go to more and duplicate, and go to edit. Okay, now we don't want to see the visits and the visit converted. Now we want to see the conversion rate. Okay, what we should do? If I come here and if I see the parameters, I can check that here is not the conversion rate, so I need to calculate it. Okay, here in Grafana, there are a functionality that is so useful. Here, the transformations. With the transformations, this functionality allows us to modify the format of the files, make calculation, aggregate the information. As you can see, there are a lot of pre-configurations done to make it easier. And as I say, I want to create a custom parameter for the conversion rate. So I'm going to click here in Add Field from Calculation. And what I will say, okay, I make a binary operation that is visit converted between visits. And I make click here and it's done. I have here the conversion rate. As you can see, it's very, very simple to use and to modify this. I can conversion rate. And we can modify the formats. For example, as here you can see 0.00.9. Okay, we can come to the options and in units say, hey, this is a percent. And now we can see the format right. We save this and we come back to the dashboard. And as you say, it's very easy because it's a drag and drop. So we can modify and design the dashboard really, really quick. We're going to try it with another. I duplicate, in this case, the conversion rate, and I'm going to edit this. And it's only to change the visualization. I said before that here we have a lot of options that it's easy to do it. We can modify the visualization. And for example, we can say, oh, I want to compare this with the previous period or with the change that we have. Okay, we can customize all the parameters, organize, and make a custom dashboard with the information that we need. This is connected to the API, it's always updated. You can modify the days to have custom periods, to make custom analysis, and to access in an agile way to the data that we are getting from Matomo. As I said before, we use a lot of Grafana to create dashboards because at least with the data of Matomo is really easy to integrate here, and also is really useful Grafana when we need to integrate some parameters of Matomo with the with some internal visualization of the client. If I come back to the presentation, okay, it's here. So yeah, we did some basic examples on Grafana. Today we saw how to use the Matomo API and JSON files to create effective visualization that help us to make informed decisions. And for me, the conclusion is that data visualization is essential because it transforms complex data into graphical representation that help us a lot to understand the data. And of course, as I said before, to identify trends, patterns, and any anomaly. So yes, the Matomo API is very powerful, as you can see in this case. And that is all. If you have any doubt or you want to solve any specific topic, feel free to ask. And I say,
Leticia,
yeah.
hay pregunta. The question is from, this question came from Valentin Barres. And Valentin says, could you use an intermediate database? Could you store the data in some intermediate database? And also, is this resource intensive for the Matomo server? Does it overload the API?
Sorry, can you repeat? Because
yeah, it's in the. This is in the Google chat.
Okay, says, I go there because
yeah, and I can give probably easiest for you to.
Because you say, which is the question?
It's Valentin Barres.
Okay. Is the method is consuming? Yeah, I think it's time consuming as using the normal Matomo interface. But I really haven't checked that. Yeah, it's possible to use intermediate servers. I remember Matomo pool that we use it in some project that when we needed to cross custom parameters that in one client didn't have the custom reports. So we needed to cross the data in different ways. What we did was with Matomo pool API calls to Matomo to a Postgres database, and in this case, use the Postgres database to export the data. But it was a specific case. I don't know if I'm answering your questions, but I think that I need to check.
I have a question. Do you sometimes run Matomo data alongside, say, Google Analytics or Matomo data next to Plausible or Fathom or Adobe? And then can you see, like, is there agreement with the, say, with Google Analytics and Matomo, or do you do that sometimes?
Sorry, the difference without?
I know some client will have a website, and in the website, they will run two analytics. They will run Matomo Analytics, and they will run Google Analytics. Do you see good agreement sometimes?
Yes, I think we have, this moment, 8 clients with this case that they have analytics implemented and also Matomo. And during last year, we can be sure that the quality of data that we get in Matomo is higher. because yes, the problem that we have when in these cases is that with Google Analytics, we don't know how they are getting sometimes the data. So yes, in Matomo, we know how we collect the data and how to organize the data. So we have access to the database. So it's completely different worlds.
That's great. Do you use log analytics of Matomo? Do you use like where you take the server log and Matomo can ingest the web server log from Apache?
No, no.
The advantage there is it cannot be blocked by an ad blocker.
Yeah. I need to start with this, and I saw this morning the talk about that blockers, and was really interesting because I know the 35% of the visits that we didn't get. So
I see a comment here. It says it's from Nora. They're pointing out that Google uses sampling.
yes,
and obviously
exactly.
Matomo does not.
Yeah, yes, and the sampling. The worst thing of Google Analytics is you don't know which part of the data you are not watching. And this is the problem.
I was going to ask, could you go back to the slide where you show Power BI?
Yes.
Grafana, also Tableau. Do you use Tableau? Some people use.
Yes, we use Tableau, but not with Matomo data. And yeah, we try. As I said before, we use it to use when we work with Grafana with Matomo data, not in Matomo. We need another tool for the API. As I say, Grafana is very useful because, as you can see, the configuration is easy. You don't need a lot of technical knowledge to make this. And when we work with Metabase, we used to work the database directly because you are able to manage a big amount of data.
If someone has not much money and the low cost, which of these? I see one of them is free, sort of, but Looker Studio is not. It's not free in the sense.
Yeah,
what would be a good solution for low cost?
Low cost Grafana, because you have a free version and that is possible to use the free version, and it's very complete. Also, if you are going to use Grafana on premise, it's only the cost of your server and the configuration is not very complicated. So you can manage this with few developers and to maintain the tools. And also the cloud version has a free version that is possible to use, and it's okay for a small or for a medium company.
Is Apache superset more powerful, but also more difficult to control?
I'm not sure if more powerful. Yes, similar. I think more powerful Grafana in this moment. Apache superset is SQL, so yes, you need another background, and you need a security configuration, and you need other kind of skills. So,
okay,
yeah,
I didn't
Grafana
realize.
is more versatile.
Superset, you have to do a database SQL query.
Yes, exactly. Always. I think Grafana is easier to get started.
Last question, which of these has the most integrations with Matomo? Like if I go to Grafana, are there some already things like set up like
specifically for Matomo? No, only in Looker that you have a specific connector that is developed by Matomo, the connector of Looker. But for the other tools, you have plugins, but related with the API integrations or with database integrations that, of course, you can use with Matomo, but they are not specifically developed for Matomo. But in Grafana, you have 5-6 plugins to connect APIs. So you can use with Matomo. You have plugins to integrate directly the database, so you can use with Matomo and it's not complicated. But specific developed for Matomo, I think that is only the Looker case.
Leticia, the number of people in this room went up during the hour, and it is the most popular room this hour. Your talk is the winner.
No, it's for beginners. My talk, you are really expert.
Well, thank you very much, Leticia. And one more time, can you show the slide where people can find you if they want to look you up?
Yes, of course. You can send me an email if you have any kind of doubt about the presentation, and you can find us also in our site. I said before, we have documentation in Spanish. We are trying to develop a bit of documentation about web analytics and about how to use Matomo. And if not, you can find me in LinkedIn. And thank you so much again for all the team of the Matomo camp, because the thing that you are doing it's amazing.
Oh, wow. It's really great to contact with you and with your group. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah,
and I'm going to close the stream.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Bye.